I can tell you that it's called The Doctor's Wife, that The Doctor's Wife is definitely called The Doctor's Wife. I can tell you that it begins on a junkyard planet. And junkyards just felt kind of right for what I was doing. And also, of course, Doctor Who begins in a junkyard. And in this, so I got to set this in the Totters Lane at the end of the universe.
Wow.
Michael Sheen gets to be a glorious guest villain. I got the beautiful and wonderful Saran Jones playing somebody who may turn out to be an old acquaintance of the Doctor's with a new face. And I got to play with 47 years of Doctor Who mythology. You know, there really is a weird level on which I can say to people, well, I got this from, you know, this I took from the War Games. This I actually took from, you know, an old William Hartnell episode that I loved and remembered.
Yeah.
But what I also love about Doctor Who is at any point you've got a smart 6-year-old for whom this is their first episode.
Yeah.
And you want it to make sense for them. And it's that wonderful anomaly of genuine family viewing. You can get 50-year-olds and 6-year-olds sitting around the same TV having the same emotional reactions to it.
Yeah.
I think Matt does something that nobody else has ever done in that his Doctor feels old. And I love the fact that you look at the press that came out when Matt took over the role, and people were saying, well, Matt's going to be too young, he's the youngest Doctor, blah, blah, blah. And actually he plays, I think, the first time that you're always aware that this is a 900-year-old Time Lord. You are always aware this is somebody who is really, really old, and he's been doing this for a long time, and he's not thinking quite like we think, and he's alien, but more than that, he's old. In my episode, I got to be really proud because I got to write scenes where Matt got to be vulnerable. And I got to write scenes in which Matt got to be disturbed and upset and experience things that the Doctor doesn't normally get to experience. And Matt breaks your heart. He's just wonderful. I had heard strange and mysterious rumors that Moffat might be taking over. And Moffat was a fan of mine, and I was a fan of his, and I've been saying stuff about Doctor Who and stuff on my blog for ages. And I was going to London, dropped him an email saying, would you like dinner? And we got together. We had a very nice, very red winey sort of dinner.
Lovely.
And we played the first half of the dinner very sort of speaking in code at each other. So I'm saying things like, so hypothetically speaking, obviously I would love if anybody were to ask me to write an episode, and he's going, well, you know, hypothetically speaking, that's kind of possible. And then at some point in there he said, oh, screw this. Look, you know that I'm going to be taking over. I know that you know that I'm going to be taking over. And I would love you to write an episode of Doctor Who. And
right.
It's like, whee! Okay. So,
and with the code, right?
It was great. In fact, when I bumped into Richard Curtis at BBC at the Doctor Who offices a year later, and Richard had just done his Vincent and the Doctor episode, and he said to me, he said, they were after me for ages to do this. He said, did they come after you in the same way? And I said, no. I just said, can I do an episode of Doctor Who? And Moffat said yes.
Not
So
bad.
it was easy, it was beautiful.
Cool.
And then I just got my heart broken when it bounced from season 5 to season 6 because of budget issues.
Good things come to those who wait, right?
You know, I'm actually really happy. And the thing that made me happiest was when I wrote it as episode 11, Rory didn't exist at that point in the last season. It was just a Doctor and Amy two-hander.
Okay.
And I love the fact that I've got Rory, and I got to write Rory, and honestly, some of the very, very best lines exist because Rory's in there and somebody says them to him or he gets to say them. My favourite one, I think, at one point is where Rory, and I will probably get in trouble for saying this, is just where Rory says, Amy says to Rory, she says, I told you to keep an eye on the Doctor. He said, oh, he'll be fine, he's a Time Lord. And she looks at him, he says, it's just what they're called. It doesn't actually mean they know what they're doing. And it's...
I love it. That's great.